From foster care to arguably the #1 realtor in Louisiana. Today's guest is a 21-year-old author, realtor, entrepreneur, and father. In this episode, we'll dive into the mindset it takes to win with no backup plan, how to market yourself as #1 in a crowded space, and why building authentic relationships will always outperform outdated sales tactics. Tommy Sigman, welcome to the Deal Room.
Thank you for having me.
We're talking with arguably the #1 realtor in Louisiana. I've known you and your story, so I'm excited to share that with the world and the viewers. I want to backtrack a little bit, fill me in on how you got started in this world and in your background on sales.
So I had an interesting sales come up story. Basically for me, I had to sell myself as a kid growing up through the foster care systems. I was basically one of those stories you hear about where they go through the foster care, never really quite get adopted, never really get figured out, and they just age out, and it's whatever happens to them happens. That was me pretty much. So I grew up when I was 14. I was looking for a place to live, and this is kind of where it all really started as far as the sales background, because I had to sell myself to families essentially. I had to find a spot to live, and I was telling these families, hey, I'm a good kid. Let's set up a meeting. You can meet me. You can see I'm not some crazy orphan. And if maybe I could even live at your house temporarily. So I had to learn pretty quick. I was like, man, I got to be sharp. I got to look good. I got to be nice. Or if not, then I'm going to be moved in with some stranger by the state. For me, off the bat, it was kind of survival. It was like sail or die. Not really die, but it was like, where am I going to live at? So basically, grew up through the foster care system, selling myself, moving different families. And then because of foster care, I had a full ride access to these different prestigious schools like Tulane. So if you become an orphan, basically, then FAFSA covers your school. For me, I had all these full rides and these different college opportunities. And I said, you know what? I don't want to do that. I want to get my real estate license. I want to go dominate the real estate market instead. And I just knew I was like, I hated school. It wasn't my thing. I see this kind of like most people choose as a second career option. I see what type of people get into the industry typically as a result of that. And I see a space that's open for domination. I got my license, I got a mentor, and I just jumped straight in and started selling.
That's an incredible upbringing and the way that you've pushed yourself through that, especially because you feel alone at the end of the day too, and trying to just figure it all out for yourself and constantly in survival mode. How has that really shaped where you are now today?
I would say the way I grew up is it made me 1,000% better of a salesperson because there was never a fallback plan. Every time people are going through sales, it's like it works out or it doesn't. The way that I grew up, it either works out or I'm borderline homeless. There's no backup option. There's no escape room here, right? So I kind of think I apply that into sales. So for me, there's no baseline of, hey, if I don't make a deal, then my bills are still paid. I got to make deals. I got to pay bills. I got to make money. And I want to compete. I think it's made this competitive spirit within me where it's either your first or your last. There's no room for middle here. And I was thinking, I was actually in the gym the other day, and this thought came to me. And the thought was, I've been through too much to live mediocre. My life was too difficult for me to then grow up and just have a mediocre life. The story that I've identified is the reason I was homeless is because that is what I needed to happen to have and create an exceptional life. If I don't become exceptional, if I don't build that exceptional life, then everything just happened for no reason. Then everything just happened as a mere mistake. Right. So every day I got a chip on my shoulder. I gotta win and dominate. And I have to prove that this backstory was made because God wanted to build me into this sales warrior. It's kind of what I tell myself. I don't know if it's true or not, but it gets me going. So I like it.
At the end of the day, it's true if you believe it. And the more you believe in the reason you are who you are and what you're going to accomplish and where you're going to go in life, then it's only going to stay true because that's for you to decide. Anybody else will have their opinions, but that's for you to believe in yourself.
Exactly. Well, I think believing it makes me more competitive. So I decided to believe it and decide. And I do think, like you said, like it's true if you do decide it's true. So I think every day, this is the meaning I've identified. I'm going to build this into fruition and then it'll become a self-fulfilling prophecy. I'd say it makes me ultra competitive. I'd say I'm super competitive. If I go just transparently, if I go to my brokerage award meetings and I am not on the leaderboard, there's almost a sense of like, why am I here? I didn't earn it. I need to be back in my room cold calling. So super competitive. And I think a lot of that all stems from that way I was brought up.
Exactly. And now to look forward with where you're at today, what kind of an impact has, I'll call it sales. I know you're in real estate more specifically, but how has sales made an impact on your life?
I'd say for me, I think my competitive advantage in real estate is the fact that I acknowledge it for what it is. It's a sales business. People say, oh, you're a real estate agent, you sell houses and this and that. You do, but I mean, I know you have a lot of experience in real estate at a high level. So you know this for a fact that you're selling yourself. Once you sell yourself, it's not that hard to sell the house. If you price the house right, you market it decently, you got good pictures, the MLS and the platforms sell the property. The product that I'm selling is me. It's me versus the other 25 realtors and their three cousins that they're talking to. That is the sales side of it, right? I kind of figured that out pretty quick. I'm like, it's really easy to sell property. It's really hard to get the client. So I need to be the sharpest version of myself that I can be. Just acknowledging for what it is and then honing in on this is the game. I need to be an exceptional conversationalist. In fact, when I got into real estate, I kind of had a slow start. I'd say slow. It took me about 6 or 8 months before I really closed the deal. Maybe close to a year before I really got the ball rolling, closing deals consistently. And my broker, he really invested a lot into me. And that's one reason I'm so loyal to my brokerage and the company I have here, is because he put a lot of money and effort into putting me through sales training. So I went through all these different sales trainings. And that's really what taught me, like, wow, your ability to have a conversation really determines how much money you make in this. The ability to understand what's going on, what is their motives, what's their motivation, how do they make this decision? Like, what kind of person is this, and how does this person make decisions? Because I can talk to two different people and they can analyze and make decisions in two different ways. One guy would just decide if he likes me off the rip and roll with it, and the other guy wants to see, like, what is your analytical blueprint for how you're going to sell this for the most money, right? But I have to be able to read the room. So going through really taught me how to do that in finite detail and understand, like, human psychology and how to communicate a lot better. That is really what put me on a whole different trajectory of closing deals. Like, I'm to a point where if I meet up the client, I'm probably going to beat the other 4 or 5 realtors that they also meet with. And truthfully, it's mostly because I understand how to make them feel secure and make them feel comfortable making the decision based on how they like to make decisions. Sales and sales training in real estate has changed my life.
I think the biggest thing that really hits home for me is when you're in the room, not only reading the room, but understanding how the person you're speaking to makes decisions and how they want to feel comfortable to make a decision. When you can understand that and actually help people for the better interest of people, then that's where sales becomes very, very easy. And it kind of goes hand in hand, like high ticket sales, just as much so as real estate. We're all dealing with people. We're all helping people achieve a certain outcome, make a decision that allows them to get to a certain outcome. But what we're doing is to actually help people. And I firmly believe and want to align myself, especially with people on the podcast that are actually here to help people and are not just in it to just make money at the end of the day. Because, like, we're all of us want to do well, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's the intentions behind that. And I can genuinely tell from you and your upbringing and your story and how you hold yourself and carry yourself as not only just a human being, but also a realtor, that you genuinely care about the people that you help.
Well, it's kind of one of those interesting rules of life that the people that want sales the most, like people that are hungry for the sale, you can feel it, and then they're more repelled to those people. Like, they're less likely to get it versus if you just go in and you're just simply an advisor that's not biased to any specific direction. But I know more about real estate than you do because I've sold a whole lot more houses to the customer. And obviously you don't say that, but they understand that's why you're there. And I'm here to advise you and helping you weigh out what makes the most sense. In fact, I got a call yesterday from a developer. And by the way, to preface, I'm 21 years old before I share the story. I'm a 21-year-old, right? I've only been in real estate for two and a half years or so. I cold called a developer who had an expired, and I called him immediately when it was pulled off the market. I go meet with this guy. He has multiple other agents that he's also been kind of fluidly working with, trying out, whatnot. I go sit with him, and pretty quickly we figure out that, hey, the price of your new construction, we think you're slightly upside down. I don't think you'll be able to sell and get out. I think you'll have to take a loss. So you have to decide, are you open to creative offers, taking a loss, or renting it out? And he just appreciated so much that he was like, hey, this guy, this young realtor is coming and telling me, a developer with $20 million of inventory, that I need to rent out my houses instead of trying to sell them. And I spoke with him yesterday and I said, hey, well, let's talk about what's the game plan. Are we committing to renting it out, or are we going to lower the price? And he basically told me, he said, look, I think we're going to rent them out. But look, I want you to know that we're building 18 more spots in this other city called Central. He said, we're building 18 more houses, and the average price point of these houses are about $500,000. And we want you to help us on those projects. Which, by the way, the medium average price of a house in Louisiana is $250,000. So for y'all, like in Miami, that's like a shack. But in here, that's big time to us. But he told me, like, you were just honest and you were helpful, and I want you to be part of this project coming up. And this guy's goal was to build 200 houses a year. And this happened because I told him, hey, look, you got to rent these out. You're upside down. Instead of trying to sell him on, give me more inventory, that probably won't sell.
That one decision where it's not solely about the commission dollar that you could make by trying to sell or attempting to sell, because you already know that they won't, but by being honest and transparent with someone who could already be a great connection for you and just giving your value and opinion to them because you actually want to help them is not only giving you an opportunity, but could give you 10 times more opportunities down the road. Because you're, like you said, you're 21, an investor and a developer is going to be building more than one project in their lifetime. So that one opportunity could pay you tenfold.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. I'd rather build a relationship, do it right. My goal is I don't think anybody can ever say, hey, Tommy sold me. Like, Tommy sold me on making this decision. It is always, dude, my favorite sales tactic is encouraging you not to do it. I love when people say I could rent out the house. Hey, no problem. Why don't you rent it out? That seems like a good idea. Why don't you do it? Oh, because I don't want to manage it. Okay, so you're committed to selling it. Is that right? You don't actually want to rent out the house, or you do? No, I don't. Okay, well, glad we got that out the way. I love to tell people, oh, I'm thinking about doing this, but why don't you do it? That no one can ever say I convinced them or sold them on making a decision, because I will always play both sides. And here's all the possibilities. What makes the most sense to you under your circumstances?
I think that's what also gives you that edge and makes you a good salesman at the end of the day. You understand not only the traditional cold calling lingo of how to understand emotion, motivation, and what are they going to need to make a decision, but you're actually having that intellectual conversation with them to put in front of them what most people probably wouldn't say, which the average salesperson that's having that conversation would probably do the exact opposite, which would start to be an argument of, oh, you should sell it and you should let me sell it, versus encouraging them to actually do, oh, no, you should rent it. I think that's a great idea. Most people are not expecting that because everybody in sales, the prospect always assumes we have an ulterior motive at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
we lose that rawness and that authenticity.
I had one lady tell me, I'm thinking about interviewing other agents before I decide anything. And I told her, I think you should. Why haven't you already interviewed other agents? I mean, I think that it's a big decision. You should probably get a few opinions on it. Dude, she signed with me right there. She was like, this guy is so good. Let's go ahead and do it. And she signed right there and we got it listed. Because she was like, he's not selling me. He's just telling me what's up.
That goes to show, again, just it's more things that make you a better salesperson, makes you a better realtor, and gives you that edge and keeps you on top as arguably the number one agent in Louisiana.
Number one.
And same with the more you tell yourself, the more you believe it, the more it will become true at the end of the day.
No, I do believe I'm number one. Yeah, I'm already there. I believe it.
And with that, like, I know we kind of talked about it the other day when we were chatting before the episode, you tend to lean with a more aggressive style of marketing. I want to touch on that and get your take on your approach and why you do things that way.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'll say, I put out there that I'm the number one realtor for a few reasons. One, because I do believe it's just true. I do believe I am the number one realtor in Louisiana. And I'll tell you, I've had multiple sellers. I've had a lot of deals that I've closed that other realtors didn't sell. I've had a lot of clients tell me, hey, we talked to all these realtors. We've interviewed multiple realtors. You were the best option out of everybody. Second off, too, I had one realtor reach out to me recently, and he was pretty upset about me giving myself that tagline of Louisiana's number one realtor. And I shared with him, I'm like, well, who is Louisiana's number one realtor? If it's not me, if there's an argument for somebody else, who is the other number one realtor? And the thing is, there is no number one. I mean, there's not a clear exact, this is the number one guy. There's different people on different business models. I mean, some people are high volume agents. So who is? And anyways, my philosophy is, if you don't believe you're the best, why are you in the business? If you're number 25, if you're number 28, why should somebody use you and not the top 27? If you can't even confidently say, I'm the best in my space, then why are you doing it? You should do something else. Clearly, there's not a gap there. There's not a need if you can't even say, I'm the best one for the job. So for me, I can easily say, yeah, I'm number one. I fully believe in my abilities to get anything sold and solve any problem, to be more efficient, more exciting to work with, get it done. So yeah, I have no problem saying it. Now I know some other realtors don't see it the same exact way, but that's my philosophy.
At the end of the day, that's going to be their problem because there's two sides of it. There's the humbleness of knowing, like for yourself, by volume that you're not number one. And that's okay. You don't need to be number one by volume. But in terms of how you handle yourself as an actual agent in doing the job and what you bring to the table to offer your clients, you know that you're number one. And no one can take that from you. No one can take away your skill set. No one can take away the way that you value and treat your clients. That's what keeps you number one. And your clients will see that too. Who cares if the other agents don't see that? You're selling your clients' houses. They're not selling your clients' houses at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. But and even from a volume standpoint, I mean, I'd say like there's probably categories I could make the argument that within specific categories I am number one from a volume standpoint. Like I'm like my age, for example. I know there's awards for 30 under 30 and different things. I mean, I would think, especially under and within my company. I'm one of the biggest guys within the Kaizen Home Sales, which is a pretty big company. So there's different arguments, and the thing is too that everybody's a top producer. That's the thing about real estate sales business is it's so fluffed across everybody. Everybody's a top producer. Everybody's agent of the month. I'm like the average agent sells, I believe, 3 or 4 houses a year. But how is everybody a top producer? I don't know. So that's why I don't understand. I think agents want to say top producer or use this terminology to imply that they're good, but they can't just say I'm the best. I have no problem just saying I believe I'm the best.
Hey, props to you because then it just goes that much farther. And like you were telling me the other day, it's stirring up commotion amongst the community. And I mean, it's only going to help you in your favor because the more you ride that wave, the more it's just going to fall into line with what you're looking to do and how you're looking to help people. There's no clear cut definition of the number one realtor in this state equals X by definition. It's all up to interpretation at the end of the day.
Well, what's funny is even the realtors that make the argument that they are number one by X, Y, or Z definition, all of the spots that I see that's promoted as the number one, they paid for. All of the spots that say, "Hey, showcasing number one according to this magazine or this firm, whatever," I'm like, that's an advertisement you paid for. So how are you number one when you're paying for a spot in a magazine? I make an Instagram post and say I'm number one. We're just going on 2 different channels saying the same thing. But you're just paying for someone else to say it to hope that it comes across more authentic than mine will. Oh, maybe if they call me number one, people will believe it. But like you said, there's no exact, this is the volume you need to be number one. It's clear. And there's too many teams where there's a team of 50 agents here that all write their contract under one person's name. I'm like, that person sold a fraction of those houses, but all the contracts under that guy's name. So it's so diluted. There's no clarity around it. So it's all up for interpretation. My philosophy too is if you're too scared to say you're number one, you're never going to be number one. So you shouldn't even be making the argument anyways.
Fair enough. Tommy, so give me the thought process behind where are you looking to go next? I really want to get into a little bit about your sales community as well. What are you looking to do? What are you looking to build big picture across the board, real estate, sales community? What is the future of Tommy Sigman?
Well, here's what my thoughts are. My thoughts are, so Baton Rouge and Louisiana as a whole, it's a lot different than Florida and these bigger markets. So in fact, I was talking to Ty Gose, who at one point was one of the top 10 agents in the country. And he's a commercial guy. He does all commercial. He sold buildings for Amazon that came to Louisiana. He sold malls, like massive complexes, huge player around here. And I was talking with him, and even he said this. He said, Baton Rouge is too small to make a killing in real estate sales the way you can in bigger cities. Like there's no Ryan Serhants or Dina Golden Terriers in Baton Rouge because the top agents here genuinely do only sell maybe 50 million at the absolute cap. Right. And your acquisition costs to get those deals are so much higher here because there's such little deal volume and little sales volume because Louisiana is so cheap compared to these big states. So the reason I'm saying that is, for me, I see a few things. While it is small, I do just want to absolutely dominate it. I'm going to keep on focusing on residential. Picking up residential, I do see myself expanding and taking over commercial as well because there's not a whole lot of commercial competitors here. I think that's a massive open space in Baton Rouge, so residential and commercial. And then from that, really the development investment side. I mean, my broker, the company I work at, is geared for investors because my broker is a developer. He's building, I think he has 200 units right now that he's He's building maybe 40, 50 more on one of his complexes, but I'm having firsthand watching what he's doing. So for me, real estate sales is the cash machine to make cash, pay bills, put money aside. And then from there, it's to switch over to development and buying and burring apartment complexes, essentially, like he's doing. So that's really the goal. And then the sales community is, I just see such a gap for people that were in my position. There's a whole lot of people that don't want to go to school, but they're not quite sure what they want to do. But there's no path to just start making really explosive amounts of money and controlling your life the way you can with sales. But I don't see a whole lot of people in the sales training space that's offering a solution to that. That's offering an affordable community or products to say, you learn this, you take this, you can get hired by any company and make good money. So that's basically where I saw that. And I said, man, it's bad. The amount of people that don't want to go to school like I didn't, but have nowhere to go, it's terrible. So that's why I started the sales community. And for all the business owners, I mean, sales is the lifeblood of your business. Doesn't matter if you have a sneaker, you can have a Pop-Tart company. If you're not selling your Pop-Tarts and you're not making money, then you don't really have a business. You just have an idea. So every company needs it. Every person who doesn't want to go to college, doesn't want to go to school, that's the avenue that can allow you to control your life. And I'm like, and no one's teaching it well. So I just went ahead and started my own sales community. I just launched it very recently, and we have like 30 people in there or so. I did the live call right before this podcast, going through trainings, role playing, practicing objections. Most of the guys there own their own businesses, and we're going over like what are the obstacles and the hurdles, or what could you have done differently?
And would you say it's geared mostly towards people in the real estate space, or would you say it's just sales as a whole?
I might be the only real estate guy in there, actually.
Really?
Ironically. Yeah, yeah. It's all different. There's a marketing guy, a landscape guy. There's a guy that sells like government contracts for firearms or something pretty cool. Everybody's different. But sales is kind of universal. It's like being a great salesperson is being a great communicator. And there's ways and structures of navigating conversations in order to achieve that. So it's going through that stuff basically.
That's really powerful. And especially coming from you, I'm sure your story resonates with a lot of people that you're talking to and teaching. It resonates a lot with me because this is something that I am planning and trying to conceptualize. Because now that I've launched my own company and I'm leaning in my own direction, because I've been in sales for as far as I can remember, because I started in hospitality, still was sales, but I did that for a decade, transitioned to luxury real estate. Luxury real estate didn't end up being what fulfilled me, which transitioned me to high ticket sales, which I now really, really enjoy and have a passion for. And I've paved my own way to where have my own company today, helping businesses and helping sales reps. But predominantly, a lot of my value and content is directed at the either founder or sales team lead because it's very systems and process focused. And then 20% is going towards the individual rep, because my mission that I really preach and I'm trying to bring to the sales industry is I want to create a new standard for leadership, culture, and execution, because that's something that's very, very lacking in the world. And like training is obviously a big part of that. So I want to be involved with or establish my own variation of a sales community where people can have a great team and cultural environment and a great place to learn and have opportunities to be involved with companies that either I'm partnered with or that are just involved and coincidentally and have guests, whether that's yourself or people that are just in the space. Like I want to create a great culture for people and collaborate with as many people in the space to create that, because I think that's something that's missing in sales, because there's so many opportunities and directions you can go. It's very, very saturated now. High ticket sales has blown up over the last 3-4 years, and now everybody's pushing education, everybody's teaching something, but at the end of the day, a lot of that is just backed by founders that are just trying to make more money rather than actually trying to help people. And I think that's the biggest thing. I really want to make a difference because I know what the dark side of sales is, and where there can be brutality and there can be belittlement and just disrespect across the board. And that's not what sales is about. That's not why people get into sales. That's not kind of the life that people want to live. That's kind of run by people that are in their early 20s that are driving Lamborghinis off of things that really just weren't in the best alignment for maybe their customers or the people they worked with. So
Yeah.
that kind of just speaks volumes to me and kind of the direction I'm also looking to go.
I think it's a great model. I mean, you train and you build up the companies and the cultures through the executives, and then you have the other community over here where you recruit and you also build and train the salespeople, and you're just a connector. Actually, found like a super incredible built staffing agency where where you're just connecting the two. Hey, you have a great culture. This fits with you. You're looking for this. I've trained you. Make sure you're good. Make sure your culture's good, and connect the two. I mean, I think it's a great model for sure.
I think there's two sides of it, because the way I approach things, if I know real estate is slightly different in relation to like high tickets as a whole, but most of the time there's people that, depending on the size of the company, there's someone that's titled like a sales operator, or like the big term that keeps going around is growth operator, where someone comes in and manages either an offer or a business. Most of the time, those people will go and analyze the company and then immediately go after the sales reps and say, okay, well, they suck. They don't have enough skill. They're not going to learn quick enough, so fire them. That's the experience that most people go through, and they attack those people first. For me, I'm the opposite. I go more for the systems approach first, and then I touch on sales, but not for the point of like, okay, let's fire the people who are slacking. There's a difference between people that are not properly trained and people that are just not doing their job, but there's something that I kind of live by, and it's mediocre salespeople with prolific systems will outperform great salespeople with poor systems. That's something that I really lean into and that I bring to the table when I manage offers and companies, because at the end of the day, regardless, if your company is solely reliant on the output of the number one person, well, what happens when this person gets sick or quits? What is your revenue going to drop by 40, 50%? That's not how you hold a good company in perfect balance and how you scale long term. So I want to, on two sides of things, I want to really take care of the reps that are not getting enough grace and training and are being cut short because maybe they're not at the skill level that the founder would like them to be. And everything takes time. So it's battling both fronts. It's helping companies understand that we can make a huge dramatic increase and fix your revenue leaks just by attacking systems and processes, and then focusing on how do we improve the skill set of the sales reps, and then touching on marketing and then scaling and so on and so forth.
Well, I'd say too, to add to that, most salespeople are trained terribly. Like most salespeople, there's a reason people hate salespeople, right? And that's because they're the stereotypical aggressive, commission breath. I'm here to get something from you, and that stems from them not being trained or being trained poorly. I mean, if you got a group of guys, and I'm sure there are a lot of cases where they probably do need to, you need to maybe start from scratch if you've done too bad, train them or whatnot. But a lot of times, like you said, you give a sales guy proper training, clear SOPs. These are your targets. This is how you input them, so we know if you're on track. It'll completely change. It'll change everything. And I think almost every small or medium business has a salespeople issue or a salespeople training and systematic issue. I mean, you fix those two things, I mean, you can quadruple your revenue, because that's probably what's the blockage of everything, is having untrained salespeople.
And I think the biggest thing too is I could ask any business, hey, do you need help scaling? And most people will be like, no. Okay, well, do you understand where you're losing money right now? Do you understand where things are not lining up? Do you have an understanding of like how many leads are being lost every single week? Do you have an idea of all of the holes that are not being plugged? And then most of the time it's, oh no, I don't know. I didn't know, or I don't know where to look. Well, okay, I could tell you, and that would solve half your problems right there without even having to touch hiring people, firing people. Just acknowledging or showing you, hey, this is what's missing. This is where leads are falling short. This is why your ROAS is in the trash. So there's a balance or a stigma around, no, I don't need help. Well, you just don't know you need help.
Yeah. I talk to ChatGPT every night. I have a list of KPIs, and it is like extremely detailed. Like last night it took me probably 30 minutes to fill in. And it's the KPIs of how many people I talked to, how I talked to them, like the price or where I got their information, the price point. I have a spreadsheet, even my fitness goals, how much cardio I did, that I input into ChatGPT every single night. And I was like, here's what I did today. Here's my KPIs. And knows all of my goals. I'm like, where are the holes? Where am I falling short? Where am I getting distracted? And every night it'll give me a report. And I'm discovering things every single night, because it is like a supercomputer that I'm just completely utilizing as like a secondary brain that's way smarter, that I input everything into. And every day it's like, here's your holes. And I'm getting so much feedback on where I'm falling short every single day. So for me, I'm like, I totally understand and see the importance of it. I'm like, it's necessary to have self audits, especially in your business. Because if not, you get so caught in the routine of just going through the motions that, I mean, you're walking blindly at that point.
That's where the biggest issues will come. It's you end up getting tunnel vision to the wrong things. And I've seen this myself in sales is people, especially on the high ticket side that are involved with some type of education or info product offer, is they're so focused on the wrong things. Most of the time it's taking care of the leads that are just on the front end. That's priority, and not caring about even anything on the backside of how do I actually take care of my clients? How do I actually make sure they have a good experience? Because I would rather a founder do the opposite. Take great care of your customers and make sure they get everything that they need out of whether that's the experience or the product or so on and so forth, because that's where the real money is at the end of the day. That's how you create lifelong customers. That's how you create referrals. And then that'll just funnel back into the front end. So it's one of those things where if you don't know where or have the ability to self-audit, whether that's using ChatGPT or not, or even having a secondary voice to look over or a pair of eyes to look over your shoulder, like you're just going to be lost. And then that's where the decline starts to go. And I've experienced that, and I know brands, I'm going to keep them to myself, but I know brands that'll end up in that direction because they're not looking at the wrong things. They're trusting the wrong people, and they're just leading things the wrong way. Tommy, what would you say makes a good leader?
I'd say a good leader, you have to be able to be someone that other people can look up to. You know what I mean? And I know for me, for example, I don't have a very big team at all. I have a really small team right now. It's just me, an assistant, and I have a secondary agent coming on underneath me to help me with a lot of my deals. And it's kind of funny because there's a weird transition for salespeople where I'm going from just being a salesperson to now being somewhat of a manager and a leader, right? I have to make sure my assistant, she has clarity on what is her role, what does she need to do, make sure she's taken care of. I have to make sure that my Landon, this agent coming up underneath me, is in the same boat. He's taken care of. He knows what to do, all the things. And I've discovering for me, like I need to make sure I'm somebody that's capable of being trusted and looked up to in the sense, right? Like I feel as if, I have to be at the gym on time, super early, first one here, last one to leave. I have to set the example, right? Because I'm driving this ship. I mean, if I'm not making sales, neither of them two are paying their bills. Both they both have bills, and they're relying on me to make sure that I'm gonna get things rolling and make sure everybody's good. So I mean, you got to be someone that other people can look up to. In order to do that, you have to be able to be someone that yourself can look up to. And what's interesting too about our brains is it's like what we are is, yes, we are consciousness, but we're really the observer of ourselves. I'm gonna get deep for a second. We're watching everything that we do, and we are seeing our own actions, and we are forming a self-identity opinion of ourselves, right? So what happens is when I show up in a suit and tie and I show up early and I'm at the gym at 5 a.m., my brain is forming this opinion like, dude, you're a badass. You deserve to be in this position. But when you are sleeping in, doing all these things, screwing around, you're not making sales, you're not hitting targets, it actually affects your identity and your self-perception more than anything else. To a point where that's when you get imposter syndrome. Dude, I have no issue saying I'm number one because I'm like, I promise you, there's not another agent that works like I do. There's not another agent that's as good as I am. And I can say that with full confidence because my brain has observed enough to say, no, like he means this. This is a legitimately true statement that is believed by me. If I couldn't say that with a sense of truth and an honesty, if I was witnessing myself slack off and not act that way, right? Act like a mediocre, average person. So I think you really got to be someone that yourself can look up to, and you can see, like, man, I'm the man.
I think when we reflect on ourselves, we tend to be our worst critics. And especially when there's also the world of social media that we have, where there's so much outside noise, always quick to judge and say, no, you're not the best. No, you can't do that. No, you're never going to succeed. Because that's all we tend to see nowadays is the hate. It's all because they're just not in the position that you want to be in. And to touch on what you were saying earlier is the imposter syndrome. That's very, very real. I've experienced that more times than I can count over the last 5 years with all of my career switches and making my way up and then crashing, and then making my way up and crashing. It's going to keep happening, and you just have to wear it and embrace it and just be the best version of yourself and hold on to the vision that you want to want to create and then find a way to make the people that you're bringing up under you help them achieve their vision as well. I think that's really important because in the world of sales, I hear this from a lot of founders, is especially that are thinking about it the wrong way, is how do I get the people that are working for me to align to my vision? And it depends on who you are. If you're someone that's trying to change the world or really make an impact, then people may be a part of that vision. But if it's a selfish reason of, oh, I want to retire early, I want to buy myself a nice car, well, your people that are under you are never going to align themselves to that. So as a leader, it's really important to make sure you understand what are the people that are working with you or for you want to achieve out of life. What is their goal? What is their vision? And how can you make that a reality for them as well? That's really taking it one step farther.
But and even with that though, that's why for me, I've really stressed that I have to be someone that I'm able to look up to. The guy that's building a company because he wants to have a beach house and a yacht, I would probably think that that guy deals with some form of identity issues. And the reason I say that is because if I am selling my people here on the dream of where we're going, but in my head I'm like, man, I just want that car. Dude, I promise you, that guy has some imposter syndrome knowing I'm selling a vision, but I actually want to stop short because I just want these materialistic items. For me, it's real easy. Like, I can speak with such confidence and certainty because I fully believe everything I say. I fully believe, even if there's delusion to it, right? Like, I have no problem telling that developer, hey, I want your $20 million of inventory. I want the full thing. And if you build 200 houses, I want all 200 of them. And the reason I have no issue saying that is because my brain sees me and says, well, yeah, you went through foster care, you published a book at 15, you destroyed foster care in the court system. It's like you've done all these things, you have all these accolades, you were the top age in 19. It's like, yeah, you deserve all the houses because you're going to do the best job. And it's easy for me to translate that to the team of, hey, we will be the highest volume real estate team and developer in Louisiana within 10 years. I can say that because I believe it and they can feel I believe it and now they believe it. I don't have identity issues. But that guy that says, oh yeah, this is where we're going and he just wants the car, they feel that, he feels that, and he's not deeply happy. Not true.
To kind of piggyback off of the leader question, how do you create a great team culture? And I think this is something maybe you can kind of now speak to because you have people that are under you, but how do you create a great team culture?
I think I'm still trying to figure out the line between being friends with your team and being like a boss and a leader. I'm not going to act like I really have that figured out, to be honest. I still am in the process of learning that. Like, I'd say for me, I'm pretty loose. I'm pretty loose as long as the stuff is getting done. Like, hey, here is your formula or your work. Like, for my assistant, mornings to afternoons, she's in sales boat like I am. She's following up with smaller leads, following up with buyers. She is probably bringing notes and bringing gifts to clients I'm following up with. She's in sales mode doing the dirty work, right? And then she goes to content and production. So for me, I will go to appointments or meetings. She's now doing content and putting my stuff on social media. Then evenings, either if I don't have appointments, I'm servicing my business. And she's in the same boat. She is reaching out. She's doing contracts. So we have a flow that we both kind of operate in. And the new guy that's just coming on, I'm going to get him in the same flow too. Hey, you're going to focus on these neighborhoods, on this price point. You're going to follow up on these smaller listings I'm going to give to you. And we're all kind of in unison because we're all in agreement with the flow. And we're going to have a weekly KPI meeting. Like, we're going to do the stuff that companies do from an operational management standpoint, like the basis. But as far as like, hey, like I'm the boss or anything like that, I'm super lenient. Like, you're getting your work done, I'm getting my stuff done. If we're all hitting our numbers, I'm happy. It's going to be a different discussion if we're all just having fun hanging out and we're not hitting our goals, and we can see that reflected in our KPIs. Now we have to discuss where are we going wrong. And I'll be the first to take ownership and say it's probably me. I'm probably the distractor, the one that's bringing us into side conversations or allowing or tolerating us to be distracted. So I'll point the finger at me first. And then after I point the finger at me, if we're still having these issues and I'm fixing it, I know it's somebody else here. And now we're talking, something needs to be fixed. But it's up to this point though. I mean, we're hitting pretty much everything we're telling ourselves we need to. So I haven't really gotten to a point yet where I'm telling myself like, oh, I need to get back. I need to have a conversation. But also I have super clear SOPs. It's very clear. It's, hey, here's our goals. It goes into the spreadsheet that we send to ChatGPT. Here's your workflow. Here's your tasks. Now there's a grace period. Like if you don't do everything, that's not super important and it gets pushed to the next day. I can understand that because we get busy. But overall, then we're hitting our stuff. So I'm happy.
And I'll to give a part two to this question. Say we're talking 2 years down the road, you have 10 people under you and you're running all of them. And at that point, how do you see yourself creating a great team environment? How do you create that environment where they're actually excited to do the job and actually want to be involved in what the goal is and the vision?
Well, you have to build a world big enough where people can have all their needs and their goals met by being underneath your world. Like if you look at Gary Keller is a billionaire because he has made a million millionaires under Keller Williams. Think about how many builders, developers, agents, team leaders. He has an empire of people that are successful underneath him because he built a world and empire so big that there's no shortage of opportunity and room there, right? And same thing, like to them, I think Ryan Serhant says this, the greatest assistant, you can't keep an assistant forever. Eventually once they know what they're doing, they move into something else, right? They move up. And same for Landon, the guy that's coming here. The thing is it'd be different if I was building my business around me being a mega agent and I have a buyer's agent, an assistant, a smaller team, listing agent, you do this, and it's all built underneath me. I mean, every company is built under somebody, but that's not the limit of opportunity here. Like we are going to move into the commercial world. And I want to have different people specialize in different asset classes because I'm not going to know everything. And I don't want to be the jack of all trades. I want to be a master at one or two things. I'm like, so you might be the guy that we send our apartments to. You could be the industrial person. I'll be focused on the development company. I don't want to be in sales forever. I want to build a team, build to development, build the coaching company. And there's enough opportunity underneath this umbrella to where we can all be ultra wealthy and all get everything that we want. So for them, they're like, they see it. They're like, yeah, I can take over this. I can dominate this lane. And they don't have the risk and they don't have to drive the ship. They can just kind of steer along. You know, they say you can either build your own business or ride the coattails of somebody else. And if you can clearly see this is the vision, I believe in this guy, he believes in himself, he does what he says, this is where we're going and we see the fruits, then it's a no-brainer. It's like just ride the wave and then pick your spot.
I think it comes down to who's leading the ship at the end of the day. And I think for you, because I know you really well and I resonate with a lot of how you hold yourself in your story. So like I know that there's a lot of genuineness behind the vision that you're building and what you want to do. And I don't see any reason why you won't have more and more people come your way that want to be a part of that wave. Because that's the thing. If it genuinely feels like you're making that difference and it's not just solely about how do you make more money, how do you be the best, then it's more authentic. Then people actually want to be involved in that. And that's kind of like a part of my experience too. I've been attached to people thinking I'm riding the coattails, thinking I would get to my place, but I've had my place ripped and taken from me multiple times over and like, okay, well then what was the point of all that? I could have just built my own thing and made my own way. And now I can find a way to get or share my truths and my vision with the world and my mission so that people can be a part of this. Because I like having a team. I like having people that I can collaborate with and build something with. Because like you said, you don't want to have to be the jack of all trades. Then you're never going to escape the position you're in. You're always going to have to be the one doing everything.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at right now as a founder. It's 1.5 months into my company. I'm doing everything until I can get to that point where I can hire and bring on, and then we can grow and bring in more people to that vision and have a community. And whether you're being paid to be a part of the team and a part of that vision, or whether you're just a member and are along for the ride.
Well, and you have to know too, as far as like the leader that you're under, if you go the road of riding the coattails, of what drives that leader. I'm not driven so necessarily by the sports car and the boat. I mean, those are desires, those are tangibles, but I think those are products of the actual, like those are byproducts of what we're aiming towards. But what motivates me, like what keeps me up at night, is just the thought of just utter domination. Like I just see these people, I'm so fascinated by Ryan Serhant and Dina Golden Terrier. I'm like just seeing them just dominate a market to the point of like, yeah, if there's a big wealthy client in this market, you know who the go-to person is. There's an injury attorney here and in Baton Rouge, and you can't even drive down the interstate, dude, without seeing his just signs everywhere. And it's like that fascinates me. Just having a market on such lockdown that everyone just knows it's like, yeah, he won. It's a competition for second. That to me is what really gets me going. And that's a team sport. That's not a me thing. It's like I can't be the guy to achieve that. You have to have a team. That thinking about just dominating Baton Rouge or Louisiana as a whole is what excites me. That's why I don't have an issue saying number one. I'm like, this is a proclamation of the undeniable, because that is my motive ultimately.
I think that's something that's going to really not just be true for you, but will be true the more and more you keep saying it and the more and more you keep doing what you're doing. It's just inevitable. And I think the last thing I like to ask, if you were to start over tomorrow with no leads, no brand, and you had 1 month to produce revenue, what would you do?
Oh, I would wholesale a house. I would wholesale a deal without a doubt. I would go on Facebook Marketplace. And by the way, there's a million people doing this, but the person that wins this is the best conversationalist. That's why most people that are just saying, "Oh, that sounds so easy." I'm like, "No, I've done this, and that's why I know it'd be fine because I've won this game already." I would go on Facebook. I would go look for lists of properties that are in stress, and I would go start making endless offers, and then I would wholesale the house to a investor or to a flipper. Like I still like in this hypothetical, I still know the people that I know or no contacts or anything.
I like to get everybody's perspective because depending on what you know and what your skill set is, you may approach it differently. So I really appreciate that.
I ran out of money one time, like a year and a half ago. I ran out of money. I spent all my money. And I was like, man, I had the nicest apartment in Baton Rouge. Like I was living bougie, way above my means as a 20-year-old in real estate. And ran out of money. And I was like, man, I need some money to pay bills today. Just had my daughter at the time. So it was under stress for sure. And I found a deal and I wholesaled it between me and a partner and we made $22,000. And I was like, okay, I can breathe. I'm good again. So not that I ever want to be back in that position, but I know if I'm in that position, I'm like, dude, I can find a house and wholesale it and I'll be good.
No, hey, those are the experiences that humble you sometimes. I've been broke more times than I can count in the last 2 years alone. But those are the origin stories that we'll look back on and reflect on and remember that's what molded us and shaped us to where we're going to be down the road and who we want to be and the life we want to live.
Oh yeah, dude. It's kind of like what I love about real estate too. Sometimes it's kind of like gambling. It's like if you bring $1,000 to a casino and that's half your money out of your checking account. Well, now the stakes are really high and it's kind of terrifying and exciting. Not that you should do that, but in real estate, there's kind of some truth, like some fun of looking back and being like, man, like I needed that deal to close. It fell through 3 times and then it closed and it saved me by the last minute. Again, that like the story of that to me is just awesome. These are going to be our best stories from during those times for sure.
If you were to leave one thing for someone that's either looking to get into sales or is in sales, what's one thing that you would leave with them or one message that you would give them?
I'd say in sales, there's no room for the middle. There is either the hyper competitors that win and get all the food, and there's everyone else that's starving and fighting to get there. There's no room for mediocrity in sales. And if you're going to play sales, that's the sport you decide to get into. Just you need to go ahead and commit to either being the best or doing something else. I don't think you can be halfway in and say, I just want to have a good life and I just want to. I'm like, you got to be all in or be out, is my opinion. Same thing with sports. I'm like, my philosophy in high school was, hey, if I join the sports team, I want to be the best. I want to be the captain. And now in real estate, I'm like, if I'm going to be in real estate, I want to dominate my market. There's no room for middle ground because truthfully, in reality, like the top guys get all the deals too, especially in real estate. I mean, especially in smaller markets like Baton Rouge, all the expireds, the FISBOs, all the deals are going to a few different agents, a few different teams, and that's it. So you got to be a hyper competitor or do something else. It's not a game that's going to be fun in the middle. I guess that's a better way to word it. It's only fun if you're winning. It's kind of like fighting. If you're a good fighter, I'm sure fighting's fun, but it's only a game that's fun if you're winning. So you got to be first or last, really.
Tommy Sigman, it's been an absolute pleasure, man. For everyone that's going to be listening and reflecting on this episode, where can people find you, your book, your sales community, or you as a agent in Louisiana?
Yeah, so social media, I'm really active on Facebook and Instagram. If you just look up Tommy Sigman, or Instagram is the Tommy Sigman, same with TikTok. And then my website is actually dropping probably this week or next week. It's tommysigman.com, where they can order a copy of the book. They can reach out to me. They can inquire if they want to see houses or whatnot. You can reach out to me there also. But Instagram, Facebook would be what I'd suggest to go to.
Perfect. I'll make sure everything's tagged below in the show notes. Tommy Sigman, I appreciate you being here in the deal room.